Welcome back, everybody, to New Cats on the Block. We are here with another off-season. I believe this is our fourth off-season, coming off of a pretty disappointing regular season where we went 7-6 and lost the Motor City Bowl against the Marshall Thundering Herd. Everyone kind of took a step back. The team as a whole took a step back. And as you can see, looking across our leaving players, we're losing a bit of our first recruits from year 1 and 2. And Ahmad Doyle, our free safety who just won the Thorpe Award, is planning on declaring for the draft. Now, I don't know if I've showed the screen before, but you can throw recruiting points at these juniors who want to leave early and declare for the draft. But it takes a ton of points. Like, it takes a lot. And unless they're, like, fully leaning on staying, like, they're just like, they're thinking about it. It's really not a point to even waste the point. So Ahmad Doyle had a great season for us as a free safety, which we obviously need after the year that we had. But he thinks that he's got a better chance heading to the NFL. So we're not going to hold him back. We're going to let him go. As we move into recruiting, we pick up another set of 5-stars here, some 4 5-star recruits, a plethora of 4-stars as well. So the team is just going to continue to get bolstered a bit. If anything else, just get a fair share of depth. So, which is really the important thing, trying to get as many recruits as possible in the 3, 4, and 5 range. And of course, we want as many blue chips as possible. So, we had a pretty rough of a setback. I talked a lot in the last video about just maintaining consistency and keeping our team at that level, playing at that level, because we had an 8-win season and then a 9-win season and immediately dropped to 7. So it doesn't seem like a lot, but when you're hovering on 500 in college football, you're really not making the kind of progress that you want to see. So we come in with the 8th recruiting class this year. That's 2 spots better than where we were last year when we finished 10th. So we've actually steadily increased each year. So my first season recruiting-wise, we came in at 28th, and every year since, we've been in the top 25. We ranked 14th, 10th, and now 8th. So we are getting better at recruiting. The way these games are designed, it's supposed to get a little bit easier the longer that you go, but we need to out-recruit our rivals, of course, in the conference, as I say in every video. And there you see Penn State was at 23. So normally the big dogs, we got to start seeing them drop, like Ohio State and stuff, since Ohio State's won 3 national championships in this sim so far. We got to stay consistent. So as we move over into training now, it's important to see who's moving up. Justin Frederick, our all-world middle linebacker. I'm stumbling on middle linebacker. I want to say major linebacker. He comes in at 88. He's one of our most improved players on the roster, which is great. We didn't see too much from him last year. I don't want to say it was a down year. I think he actually had a pretty solid year, but just didn't get the recognition, I guess, from the rest of college football, which is fine. I'd rather they sleep on us. So our backup free safety, as you can see, is moved up to a 97. So we lose Ahmad Doyle. He leaves after getting his trophy. He's like, you know what, I've had a good enough season, I can leave. But we had another 92 on the roster, and he moves up to 97 now. So we had the depth at that position. We don't need Ahmad Doyle for his senior year, so we should still be all right as we move throughout the rest of the roster. The numbers are trending towards the high 70s, into the 80s, of course, and that's what we want to see. We're going to need a roster built on mostly 90s and stuff if we even want a chance at getting into the national championship discussion. So, but I'm getting ahead of myself here now. We gotta move it a day at a time. We just won 7 games. We just fought to win 7 games. Things got really bad. It was our worst placement in the Big Ten Conference since my first year. So I never checked where we placed in year 1, but we finished 5-7. So I know we had to be at least 8th or 9th or maybe even 10th, because I think our conference record ended up not being the worst. I don't know, because we beat Michigan, Illinois, and Minnesota. I think those are our 3 conference wins, but we ended up losing to Ohio State, Wisconsin, and Purdue. So whatever that boils out to, I'm sure we might have actually been somewhere in the middle in the fray there, but our record wasn't good enough to get the bowl nod. But it's fine, because as I've mentioned as well, trying to compete with the real-life Northwestern Wildcats football team, they went to 6 bowl games overall, before they would finally win one in 2012. So we are still hunting for our first bowl victory, as we've gone to 3 straight and have lost all of them. That would be the Sun Bowl, Alamo Bowl, and the Motor City Bowl. But we still have some time here. We're heading into the 2007 season. We still got about 5 years before really we got to start looking inward here. And so the school is still pleased with the progress that we've made with the team as we keep getting extended for 2 to 3 years each time, which is good, because this all ends when I get fired. If I get fired, if Northwestern decides that I am no longer fit to run this program, I will get fired, and that is where this series will end. So moving into the 2007 season now, we're going to look at our schedule now. The out-of-conference schedule ends up recycling. I can't remember what the cycle is, but it kind of auto-generates the same schedule like every 3 or 4 years. It's weird. So I'll change some of them if I feel like we need an easier game, or maybe we need a tougher game, because we have a tough schedule. You see, it's 5 stars almost every year, because we always have at least 3 or 4 ranked opponents just in our conference, just to start the year. And then we snuck one in this year, putting in number 18 Arkansas. So that's a look at the schedule. We're going to head into it. We're not ranked to start the season. We were last year, and that was our first time being ranked to start the season. So let's see how well we do as we start off the season with a pretty commanding victory over Stanford. So already starting off on the right foot here. Stanford's not very good at this time. We followed that up with another pretty crushing victory over the Chippewas of Central Michigan, beating up on some MAC opponents. We will always do. Arkansas has lost and has dropped out of the rankings before we even play them, but we have also now lost against the Oregon Ducks, as that is a home game. We're going to have to come all the way to Illinois for that game, and they still managed to beat us pretty convincingly. So we move in now to Arkansas to play the Razorbacks, and we beat them like real bad. Real bad. Asserting some dominance over the SEC, I will always take that as we send Arkansas to 0-3. Remember, they started the season ranked as we cruise into our bye week here in week 5 to take on our bitter rival in the Ohio State Buckeyes, which we lose again pretty convincingly, of course. The number 3 Buckeyes absolutely roll through us and our defense as they post 37 points to cruise to 5-0. So our yearly get-right game against the Minnesota Golden Gophers, we barely get away from, as another close field goal will give us that win, our 4th win on the season. So our season's starting off all right so far, but then we follow up with a loss, a 1-point loss to the Indiana Hoosiers, the winless Indiana Hoosiers, and a game we absolutely cannot lose under any circumstance. We find a way to lose. And then we followed it up with another loss to the Kentucky Wildcats. So the SEC gets its revenge. The depth of the SEC gets its revenge on us, with Kentucky winning by a touchdown, as our season is now falling into shambles as we are 500 on the year, and we followed up with a 3rd straight loss against the number 7 Wisconsin Badgers, another team in this conference that has just given us nothing but grief for our first handful of years as head coach. So it's not getting any easier as we move into number 2 against the Purdue Boilermakers, who are undefeated. They had natty hopes, but we shoot them down as we hand Purdue their first loss of the year in week 11. A 500 Northwestern Wildcats team hands Purdue their first L and drops them to 9. And we followed up with another amazing upset over the number 14th ranked Penn State Nittany Lions. So we're getting some revenge on our rivalry games that always give us the fits after getting kind of messy here. And we somehow creep into the rankings at 6-5, but that is going to be short-lived as we lose to the Michigan Wolverines again, who are having a fairly decent year. They beat us in convincing fashion to knock us out of the rankings. And with the last game on the schedule being our rivalry with the Fighting Illini, we have an absolute shootout with the Illini, but almost post 60 points on their defense to secure our 7th win of the season. Woo! Catch your breaths. Make sure you're paying attention. Gotta catch your breath. Woo! A difficult year, to say the least. Conference play gets absolutely wacky. The only word I can really think to describe it, it is absolutely wacky. as we barely escape with our lives and just play well enough to get the bowl bid against the Kentucky Wildcats. So in our next video, we will go to the Music City Bowl, not the Motor City Bowl, the Music City Bowl, and take on Kentucky, who already beat us this season. So can we get our revenge on the SEC and Kentucky as a whole? Hopefully you come back in part 6 to see that.